In today's Take a Day, I want to talk about the Los Angeles Clippers and Paul George and what else he can do to help this team get over the hump. Now, before we get into that, though, please like, subscribe, also the notification bell, just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. We put out content every day, so you won't miss any content here. Let's just go ahead and jump right into this. Now, I've been saying Paul George could be more consistent. I've been saying Paul George could be more efficient on offense in regards to scoring. And the last few games, he's been playing really, really good on defense from what I saw. Had 8 steals one game, and he's been contributing on the defensive end. And all that's well and good. But, I'm looking at this situation now. And, just the other night was just a glaring thing to me, them playing against the Blazers. Paul George has 42 points, and the only other person double figures is Luke Kennard with 16 points. And that's just really not good, because when you have talent the way the Clippers have and what they showed last year in the playoffs, and they showed how good they can be and how resilient they were, even when Kawhi Leonard went out, it just goes to show you how much Kawhi Leonard has missed. It goes to show you how much, pressure he took off of them and how much onus he takes up for them when they're not even playing up to their capability. In a lot of them games, they won because of his dominance, along with Paul George, doing his part too. But this is my point. If Paul George scores 42 points in a game, there's got to be more than one other person on the team that's in double figures. I mean, it just has to be. It has to at least be 2 or 3 people in double figures along with Paul George every night. It can't just be one night, you play and one guy and 2 people are in double figures the whole night. It can't be that way. Every night consistently, the Clippers need somebody in double figures along with Paul George. And that's just the way it has to be. I mean, somebody has to consistently be there to have his back. And I mean, I've criticized Paul George before, last year, years before in his career. And, I've even, thrown a little, good criticism, I say, towards his way this year so far. And it's not bad. It's just that, I love that Paul George is, being aggressive and things like that. But that efficiency needs to come up a little bit, if the Clippers want to be a really good team, a formidable team, and stay afloat. And, they need a little bit more consistency out of him in regards to the efficiency of him shooting better, not having 2 or 3 games where he has 35 points shooting really good efficiently. Then he has 3 or 4 games where he has 35 points shooting horribly. You know what I'm saying? They don't need that out of Paul George. And that's one of the biggest knocks on his game, I think, even, back dating years back. The reason why a lot of people looked at him as playoff P and all those things, because it just wasn't no consistency there. But, so far this year, I mean, like I said, he could be a little bit more, consistent with the efficiency, and he could be a little bit more, louder on defense, making more defensive plays. But I mean, you can say that about any player, right? But at the same time, Paul George overall, he's doing his part, and, I got to give him credit for that overall. But, from what I'm starting to see these last couple games, I say the last 2 or 3 games, I just haven't seen the team collectively come around him and support him the way I feel like the Clippers should. You got a lot of talent on the team. You got a lot of pieces, and a lot of these pieces were there last year. It's just a few additional pieces of Brandon Boston, Jay Scrubb, a few, draft picks. You added Isaiah Hartenstein. You added Eric Bledsoe. It's just a few pieces added, 1 or 2 pieces gone. For the most part, they still should be better, offensively, I think. And I just don't feel like with all the talent they do have, it shouldn't be 2 people in double figures going against a Blazers team who's probably going to be a middle of the pack team at best. I mean, if the Clippers land in a 6 or 7 seed, that's only because they don't have Kawhi Leonard. More than likely, the Blazers will be the 6 or 7 seed with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum on the floor together. They're just not good enough to lead a team, number 1, number 2 in the West. I just don't see it. I'm saying? They're good individually, talent-wise, but they're not good collectively as a team to win. That's the reason why they don't. And that's the reason why Damian Lillard, sometime when you listen to him talk, he doesn't seem like he's all in with Portland because they're just not that good of a team. So if you're not playing that good of a team, even though there's some really good scorers on there, as a team, they're not that good. The Clippers shouldn't have 2 people in double figures against a team like that. The night before that, when they beat them by 30, yeah, okay, you might have caught them, off guard, slipping a little bit, this and that. But the second go round, basically, the Blazers gave you, their best, or what we think their best is. And you have to be able to respond to that. If you do lose to them a second time, you can't lose to them in that fashion is what I'm saying. You got to go down swinging and a whole lot better than that. And I think that was really not good on the Clippers' part. All the offensive so-called firepower you have, you can't have only two people in double figures against a team who's not even looked at as a contender in the East or West or in the NBA or whatever you want to call it. And that's just what I'm saying. The team has to back Paul George up a little bit more. They have to be a little bit more consistent, and they have to be, ready to go when these games start. It can't be Paul George can't have 42 points and shoot decent from the field and you lose to a Blazers team. If Paul George has 42 points and you lose, it needs to be to a team like the Nets or the Lakers or, because them teams got firepower just like him. They got somebody who can drop 40 plus points. They got multiple players on them teams who can drop 30 and 40 points. Multiple players on those teams who can do it. So, it's like losing that way to the Blazers, and Damian Lillard only had about 25 points. CJ McCollum's around the same thing. I mean, the Clippers definitely could have won that game. They definitely could have won that game if Paul George had a little bit more help. So what I'm saying is, it's not all on Paul George. It's not all on him. And honestly, looking at a game like that, I'm sitting there saying to myself, what more can Paul George do than that? Drop 42 points and you still lose because nobody else showed up besides Luke Kennard out of all people in double figures? It's going to be nights like that in the NBA. I do get that. But this is early in the season. Everybody should be ready to go. Everybody should be amped up. And as far as the Clippers' sake, like I said, the Clippers are fighting to get into the playoffs. And they really literally are fighting because they don't have all their pieces. So every win, every game counts for them. It's not like a lot of other teams who got all their pieces, all their weapons, and they're just trying to go through the motions of the season and get going. The Clippers don't have that opportunity. You don't have your biggest weapon. You don't have your best weapon. And you don't have your third or fourth best weapon in Serge Ibaka either. So it's like when you're missing pieces like that and other players in and out the lineup, Marcus Morris not being consistent, all those type of things, you got to get every win you can. And every win you can is against teams you're supposed to beat. And to me, they got to beat a team like Cleveland. They can't score under 80 points against Cleveland at home. It's no way the Clippers should ever do that. You got to beat a team like Portland twice because you clearly have a better team. And you clearly have, in some people's eyes, you clearly have a better star player. There's some people out there who probably like Paul George or think Paul George is better than Damian Lillard. I find that debatable, but at the same time, you have bare minimum, you have a superstar or a star player that's just as good as Damian Lillard or close. So this is what I'm saying, and to me, the Clippers just have a better team. That's just me personally. I do like Norman Powell on the Blazers. I think that's a good, but the Clippers have more offensive firepower, and they've been through what we saw them go through last year in the playoffs and come through in adversity. You got to ask for more out of Terrence Mann. You got to ask for more out of Marcus Morris. You got to ask for more out of Reggie Jackson. And what I'm saying is maybe not too much more scoring wise, but there again, if I'm saying Paul George needs to be efficient shooting, well, so does everybody else. That's the only way you're going to keep this train going until Kawhi Leonard comes back and get in the driver's seat and take them home. That's the only way it's going to work. You have to stay afloat, and losing to teams that you're supposed to beat, it's just not a good look. Now, like I said, the Blazers loss, it sticks out because only two players had double figures, but the Cleveland loss really, really bothered me. I'm not even going to lie. And I'm pretty sure it bothered a lot of people, whether they're a fan of the Clippers or not. It's like, wow, you lost to Cleveland at home when you clearly got a better team and you're trying to make a push and be a formidable team and keep the train going when everybody thinks Kawhi Leonard is the only reason why y'all are going. Don't you want to prove everybody wrong? Like say, hey, yeah, Kawhi Leonard is the guy for the Clippers, but we can stay afloat until he comes back because our team is that deep. Our team is that good. Our leader's down, but we're still a good enough team to stay afloat. And that's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? You got to have that mentality and you got to go out there and play like it. And that's what I need the Clippers to do. But hey, that's my take on the situation there. Leave any comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think, as always. And hey, Khaliis out.